Programang ito ay rated SPG. Striktong patnubay at gabay ng magulang ang kailangan. Maaaring may masiselang tema, lengguwahe, karahasan, sexual, horror o droga na hindi angkop sa mga bata.
Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
The Ozone Disco Tragedy, 23 years and still burning our minds. Life has a predisposition towards irony, and perhaps one of the biggest ironies in Philippine history is the Ozone Disco Tragedy. Marched by the virtue of the Presidential Proclamation number 115-A, signed in 1986, is known to Filipinos as the Fire Prevention Month. The number of fires recorded in March prompted the need for awareness, but the proclamation did the little to stop the Ozone Disco Inferno on March 18, 1996 that shocked the entire country. The Ozone Disco Tragedy. Ozone Disco Tragedy was immensely popular spot student in the mid-90s. In March of 1996, it was the end of the school year and the bar was capitalizing on graduating season with a promo. On the night of March 18, 1996, Ozone Disco held an estimated 350 guests who wanted to celebrate the end of chapter of their lives and start a new one. Nearly half of the crowd, 162 at least, however, had to end their story abruptly. The Ozone Disco Tragedy is known as the worst fire in Philippine history. Shortly before midnight, something sparked in the ceiling just above the DJ's booth near the kitchen and restrooms. Amid the festivities planned by Ozone Disco, revelers dismissed it as some sort of special effect. The dancing continued as the spark grew into a fire that crept toward the dance floor. People who saw flames quickly exited, but many remained on the dance floor oblivious to an impending danger. It was like hell, said Ozone Disco disc jockey Marvin Reyes in an interview with the New York Times. Reyes watched as hair and clothing caught on fire. I tried to announce there was a fire, but the microphone stopped working. Chaos erupted and the situation quickly jumped from bad to worse. Electrical system went out next, and what many people may not realize, many of the deaths during Ozone Disco tragedy happened because of the stampede. Security guards who were oblivious to the fire at the time thought a riot had ensued and closed the exit on the second floor. According to reports, those doors also opened inward, creating an inadvertent death trap for panicking people who were rushing to get out. According to survivor Sherilyn Bruan on her earlier interview with Esquire, when the doors finally did open, it created the backtrap, knocked down the escapees. The impact was so strong everyone in the hallway was hit and fell down. It was like a tidal wave of heat. I needed to get it out. That's all I kept thinking. If I died, at least people will be able to identify me, Bruan said, recalling her memories of the ozone fire. The stampede, the events came back to you. The people who were left behind, there were a lot of sleepless nights. You start thinking about what happened to you. You got burned. Sherilyn Bruan, one of the survivors of the Ozone Disco tragedy. Bruan was lucky. She was eventually able to get back up and push her way toward safety. When she finally got out of Ozone, she realized she had burned in her arms and back. Firefighters were only able to extinguish the fire 2 hours later. By then, it was too late and the Ozone Disco tragedy had become one of the worst nightclub fires in the world. Getting past the ozone. At the time, Quezon City Police Chief Hercules Cataluna said Ozone Disco's 162 death toll was the highest for any fire in the Philippines. The New York Times reported the death toll was among the highest in a nightclub fire in the world. To be more specific, it was the 7th worst fire incident in the world and the worst fire incident in the Philippines National Capital Region. When rescue team recovered bodies, the narrow corridor leading to the dance floor was waist deep with corpses of people who had tried to escape. They were so badly burned that the bodies stuck on each other. Other remains were crushed beneath a collapsed ceiling. For the survivors of the Ozone Disco tragedy, the nightmare did not stop there. Those who escaped like Bruan had to treated for painful second to third degree burns. According to Bruan, until now she can still hear noises from the night. The stampede, the events came back to you. The people who were left behind. There were a lot of sleepless nights. You start thinking about what happened to you. You got burned, she said. For months after the Ozone fire, Bruan admitted to avoiding enclosed spaces and huge crowds. She panicked when she heard sirens of ambulance and fire trucks. Her life stopped. Luckily for her, she was able to heal in the years that followed by focusing her energy on her work as a journalist against the calamities and disasters. Other survivors, however, were angry. Gerald Loyola, a former waiter at Ozone Disco, blamed the owners of the club. It would not have happened if they were not remiss in their responsibility, Loyola told the Inquirer. The loved ones of the victims were left mourning and confused. Erlina Mandap only found her daughter's shoes. Tess Sagarao lost both her son and daughter in the fire. I'm all alone now. What will happen to me? She asked. The Ozone Disco site in 2008. Resolving the Ozone Disco problem. 5 years later, the survivors received some sort of closure when the owners of Ozone Disco were convicted of criminal charges of reckless imprudence resulting to multiple homicide and multiple serious injuries. The Regional Trial Court of Quezon City Branch 216 convicted President Hermilo Ocampo and Treasurer Ramon Nang of Westwood Entertainment. It was their company that supervised Ozone Disco's daily operation. The findings of the investigation revealed that the company had failed to install water sprinklers and provide fire exits inside the establishment. In addition, Ozone Disco only had a lone entrance door swimming inward. The company attributed that the faulty design decisions to feng shui. On the night of the Ozone Disco tragedy, there were 350 customers and 40 employees. It was, however, revealed that the establishment was only allowed to room for 35 people. The case later concluded that the Ozone Disco owners colluded with some Quezon City officials. Apart from Ocampo and Nang, the anti-graft court Sandigan Bayan found 7 former Quezon City officials guilty of graft for their role in the Ozone Disco tragedy, named Alfredo Macapugay, Renato Rivera Jr., Edgardo Reyes, Francisco Itilio, Feliciano Sagana, Petriliano de Llamas, and Rolando Mamaid. All of them had been barred from ever holding public office. The conspirators were all sentenced from 6 to 10 years in jail, and Westwood Entertainment's stockholders directors were also liable to pay 150,000 pesos to each casualty heirs and 100,000 to each injured victim. The resolution was only carried out in 2014, 18 years after the Ozone Disco burned to the ground. Did Filipinos learn from tragedy? According to BFP, the number of fire incidents in 2017 reached for 14,197. About 12% occurred in March, and the damages amount is 7.86 billion pesos. Worse, these fires have claimed the lives of 304 civilians. The number speaks for themselves.